So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homies Matt, Harneet, and I. Harneet, you absolutely killed it on here, and we look forward to having you on again down the road. So, now for episode 172 of Eazy Conversations, I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. So, it's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great time right now. It's the end of the year. It's been a hell of a year this year, Eric,
Mm-hmm.
on the podcast. Great episode, last one. I love having a guest on. Makes the episode flow. It's great. Today's episode is going to be more maybe relaxing, and I can't wait to get into it with you, Eric. Why don't you let the listeners know what we're going to be discussing today?
Yeah, so for this one we're gonna be going over something that we talk about here and there on the pod in terms of recommendations. We normally like to stick to our movies, TV shows, and hip hop albums when it comes to our like big lists at the end of every year. But for this one, we wanted to spend some time to highlight some of the books that we've read throughout the year, maybe throughout the years also, and just share some of those recommendations in a full episode rather than just shoehorned at the end of an episode as we tend to throw some books here and there in random recommendations. So yeah, I'm excited to just talk about a few of the things I've been reading this year. It's by far and away the most I've read in like honestly ever, probably dating back to the years of scholastic elementary school, perhaps like as a kid when library
Wow.
was your favorite place to go. So it's fun that I've been able to dedicate a lot of time this year to reading, and I have a lot of different books to share with the people. But yeah, before we get into those, Matt, how's the reading game been for you this year? Happy with what's been consumed? Hungry for more? Where are we at?
Definitely the latter, hungry for more. This year is actually 2025 has been actually really good for me for reading, the best in years. When you first
Nice.
proposed the idea, wasn't sure if I'd have a lot of books, but you know what? I look back and I've read quite a bit this year too. Maybe more, less, like only certain authors. Like I've read maybe just four authors this year, but a lot of books from these authors, and I'll get
Nice.
into that later. So, um, I am very excited. I think, Eric, going forward, like this could be like a new movie and TV, maybe top five, top 10, because I'm, like I said, hungry for more. I think 2026 will be even better for me. And I'm going to be more consistent because this year I was reading in spurts, like I crushing two, three books a month, but then
Nice.
stopping. And I'll get into that when we get started. But definitely hungry for more, Eric. And 2025 has been really good for my reading compared to the last like 5 to 8 years where it's been slacking. But man, I love reading. I used to read devour books when I was in elementary school, high school, in university for a bit. Like absolutely love reading. So much out there, like people are
Mm-hmm.
like, there's not nothing original on TV or movies. Like books is where it's at if you want an original story. There's, like you said, the library is a gold mine for that stuff. So yeah, definitely hungry for more, Eric.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with that idea as well to make this a yearly pod, and whatever we can share with the people, I think is good because reading is objectively a better pastime than to watch a bunch of TV all the time. Which hey, I love watching TV and movies. Like we all know this, everyone does. But if you can kind of cut back at times on instead of watching this show to end my night, I'll throw 45 minutes or so to devoted to lecture is a time well spent. And then the vivid images the mind can conjure are when you get in that flow state of there's shuffling through pages, you get lost through time in time. It's very few things compare to what you can create in your
Mm-hmm.
mind's eye.
Yeah.
And more often than not, whenever these books that we read do make it to the screen, a lot of us are like, that's not really what I had in mind, or that's not how I
Yeah.
pictured it to be. So it can get a double edged sword, if you will. For the most part, like I always obviously enjoy an adaptation of a book I liked, but it's your own thing, and there is no right or wrong when you're talking about a series you've read with someone, and they're like, "Oh, that's not at all what I pictured." It's like, okay, settle down. There, that's your story. This is mine, and I think that's one of the other plus of the reading game. So yeah, no, I'm on board with that. Do you want me to start in terms of sharing something that's been read, or do you want to go first? Your call.
Yeah, you kick us off, Eric.
Okay.
I have a feeling you definitely have more entries than me, so yeah, why don't you start us off?
Okay, so while I was going through, and this year I've kept a nice log of everything I've read, and a lot of my books I've kind of grouped them in categories. So I'm gonna kind of
Okay.
present it that way rather than highlight specific books. I still have some that I do want to
Okay.
highlight, but for this grouping, like I've talked a lot about all the Star Wars novels that I've read this year. Highlight, like I would recommend any of them, honestly. Me getting into these Star Wars novels this year has been a blessing because it's something I never had done in the past. I absolutely love Star Wars. All I would do would be like rewatch the movies, which I've seen a zillion times, the new shows that drop, all that. It's great, but I've really enjoyed learning about the lore, and I've highlighted my Thrawn books that I've read. But one thing I want to talk about now is, and I'm not sure if this is common knowledge, and I want to ask you, Matt, have you ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Because let me tell you, I'm not even done this book yet, and it's without a doubt the best Star Wars book I've ever read. Like, this
Oh,
book
wow.
is, I'm throwing it out there, must read content for anybody out there in this galaxy far, far away that enjoys Star Wars like I do, or if you're a casual fan. If you want more about everything that happens pre Phantom Menace, this is a must read book.
Okay.
The author is incredible. Like the way he's world building too, I'm loving it. And again, for those who don't know exactly, Darth Plagueis is mentioned offhand in Revenge of the Sith. He is the former master of Sheev Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious. So in this novel, we're getting roughly 30 or so, I think even 50 or so years before Phantom Menace, and seeing the rise of Palpatine under the tutelage of Darth Plagueis. And Darth Plagueis is not a human, he is a Mun, which that race quickly appears in Attack of the Clones on the Council of Geonosis, the man who says, the banking clan will sign your treaty to Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Like, that's the race of Darth Plagueis.
Ah.
Although he looks slightly different than that gentleman, but that's kind of just to give you an idea. And how I would describe this book really quickly, I know I've been going a while here, but honestly, I would compare this book to a Godfather esque and Frankenstein melding because the Muns, aka the ones who are in the banking clan, these people are funding all kinds of operations in the galaxy and have heavy influence on events that happen. And it's funny, like this author definitely did tie some things into saying, oh, the Muns are responsible for getting this off the ground, or things we've seen in the movies, and just showing that they're behind the scenes puppeteering certain events to occur because of the bankroll that they're providing for the organization that gets stuff done. So it's just cool to see like their influence politically and then in like illicit trade as well. And then I say Frankenstein because Darth Plagueis himself is after immortality. Like he's trying to make
Okay.
himself live past his death or eventual death. And we all know how it ends, right? Sidious says in Revenge of the Sith, we know Palpatine is going to kill Plagueis. But the journey so far has been electric, and I think I said it at the start of this monologue. Disney needs to make this a live action movie or series. I don't know how this isn't in the works already, but I'm finding it so interesting. Compelling characters. Plagueis is the man. I'm a huge fan of this legend. And Matt, I think you got to read this book. That's all. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, that was a great. You sold it to me, Eric. Like I'm gonna add this book to my Christmas wish list, and I was at the store the other day Christmas shopping, and I saw the book. Like I browsed through the Star Wars section at chapters, and I saw that very book you held up, and I'm like, all right,
Yep.
I know Eric's reading this right now, so among other books I saw there that interested me. So no, I'm like I said, you sold me really hard on it, so definitely gonna read it next year. It's on the list. Um, yeah, awesome. I'm gonna start us off. I have like you have categories. I basically have four authors to highlight. This is one that this is my only nonfiction, and it's a book that going back 2 episodes. This is a book like when we were on a family trip to San Francisco. We went to a bookstore and I bought it. And honestly, this book kickstarted and my cinematic journey basically of buying movies and falling in love with movies. So this book is written by Roger Ebert. He's a famous critic for the Chicago Times Tribune or Chicago Tribune. He is one of the only movie critics to have a Pulitzer Prize. He was on that show Siskel and Ebert where they created that thumbs up system, two thumbs up. Super famed author and critic. So he wrote a book called The Great Movies. I know it's backwards on the screen there, but this book, The Great Movies, is just a compilation of reviews and little mini essays, 3-4 pages long, about what he thinks is essential viewing, basically for a cinephile. And I remember picking up this book, not knowing any of the movies in it, and now I know what each and every one of them. They're very basic in terms of they're known classics, but the way he writes about them is just so you want to know more and you want to watch the movie. So I remember picking up this book, Eric, reading all these reviews, having not seen the movies, and he does a great job of describing the movie and then critiquing it and talking about the themes in the movie. And it's just this book, if you want to like get serious about movies, is the perfect gateway and entry point into that cinematic world. So that's why I want to highlight the book. I always go back to it every year, and especially this year I've been reading more of it after watching some of the movies in there, and it's awesome. I'll even show some of the movies to Mackenzie and be like, you need to watch this classic, and then I'll throw the book to her and be like, read that part about the movie. It's great. So yeah, I just want to start us off short and sweet with The Great Movies by Roger Ebert. There's a second volume and a third volume as well. And yeah, I recommend just going to the library and picking it up. And you can even read a couple of the segments right then and there. You don't even have to buy the book. Just read, see if you like it. It's only 4 pages long for a movie, right? So yeah, that's my first book, The Great Movies by Roger Ebert. I've been reading it for like the last 20 years, Eric. It's great.
Nice. No, that does sound interesting. I remember you talking about it not that long ago, but that definitely does
Right.
sound like something I would enjoy, and like just also to have like as I'll definitely look for it at the library, but this sounds like a great book to have like as a reference, like an encyclopedia, compendium, whatever you want to call it, and just like brush up on a movie that you have seen or
Yeah.
haven't seen, and then yeah, just get some inspiration too for stuff to watch. And it's always fun to like get insight on movies too, like because it's so there's so many movies that you can watch, especially a lot of the classics I find that you can watch and be like, okay, like I don't know why this is necessarily considered a classic, but yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
And then you read up on it, it's like, oh, okay, this is what that meant. I do find that with a few like Criterion movies I've watched, I'm like looking at their reviews on Letterboxd. It's like
Yeah.
4.5, 5 star, 5 star. I'm watching like this is 3 stars. Like what are we doing here? But then you read up on it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's 5 stars. I get it now. So I feel like a book like that would give you that additional insight that you may be missing on a first watch, and then it enriches your experience watching a movie. So no, I'll look for this at the library for sure. Love that. Nice. So yeah, my next like category, which again, like I wanted to see if there's one book I wanted to talk about. There isn't really, so I'll kind of just fire off a few of them and just highlight the category itself. Is that in terms of like nonfiction, this year I've been reading a lot of books about like something I struggle with and I'm just trying to improve on, which is like mindfulness. So being really in the present moment. I'm someone who like I think a lot about future outcomes, what things I want to do, want to see, which I think is a good thing at times, but also it takes me away from what I'm experiencing in the moment. So it's just like reminding myself of be mindful of the present of moment, appreciate highs and lows in this, trying to be like in the same way really, where you don't want to read too much into the lows and you don't want to celebrate the highs too much either, like kind of staying in that neutral kind of ground. But it just comes back to that, like mindfulness. It's something I'm trying to apply to my life more in general, and reading a lot of books on this topic has been good for me, where it like hammers home those that messaging. So like artists, if this is something that you're interested in learning more about, authors I mean would be like John Kabat-Zinn. That's someone I've read a lot of his books, and one of them is Wherever You Go, There You Are, and it's really again like just take in everything that's happening without judgment too. Just observe, listen to your body, your mind, kind of everything. It has like a definitely a lot of Buddhist theory, I guess you could say, but I found it to be really interesting and helpful for me in life in general. So yeah, that would be one. Like what else is there? Good Vibes, Good Life is a book I enjoyed. Um, yeah, I mean, Rewire, um, Break the Cycle, Alter Your Thoughts, and Create Lasting Change by Nicole Vignola. That one would be like, reading that was very similar to Atomic Habits. Like, that's a book
Okay.
I would recommend, I would compare to Atomic Habits. But they all follow like similar themes in terms of like how you
Mm-hmm.
approach situations and judge events that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of my theme there on the mindfulness. John Kabat-Zinn, he's kind of like one of the fathers of the theme,
Okay.
is what I would say. So yeah, those would be some recommends right there.
Well, that's awesome. I like that you've read multiple books on it because you get the different point of views and reinforcing the same point but told in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I read a book like years ago called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, and it kind of changed a lot of how I thought of things, and it was great. Like, that was a self-help book that like really like helped me out. And yeah, that title is very loud and gets your attention, but
Mm-hmm.
when you read the book, you're like, oh yeah, these are good ideas
Yeah.
here. It's stupid, simple ideas that I'm like, why didn't I think of this before? But instead of a parent telling me this, reading it out loud and getting examples provided to me, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm starting to all piece it together now. Also, maturing and getting older helped too, I think, experiencing stuff. But no, there's definitely some books there that piqued my interest, Eric. These are books that are easy to read too, and they're not like tomes, they're not
Mm-hmm.
500 pages most of the time, and they're quick reads. So,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. I didn't realize you've definitely read a lot of books this year because you've had just named 4 or 5 there, and uh, that's just
Casual.
one category. So that's awesome, Eric. Um, okay, the next one I'm gonna go slowly building up to like the 2 authors, the meat of my authors, but this one's a Stephen King novel. Now, Stephen King, for me, has been in my life since I was an early teenager, and reading picking up The Shining from the library, reading it, being scared. Like, I read that book before even seeing the movie, and renting the movie with my dad, and I loved it. But the book was so much different and arguably better than the movie, honestly.
Mm.
Um, but Stephen King has been consistently, the man's in his 70s, consistently coming out with a book every year for the past 50 years. He's he might be the most accomplished author of all time in terms of book sales and money made. Like, the guy's a machine in industry. There's probably 40 to 50 movie and TV adaptations from his novels right now.
Mm.
Hell, Eric, like, we've talked about them this year. There's probably 3, 4 of them coming out this year that's already come out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go see one tonight, right? Like, The Running Man.
Right.
There's a Long Walk. Welcome to Derry. Anyway, Stephen King, he's a household name. People know him. Horror, supernatural. Well, this book I read by him is simply titled, the book is called Holly, named after the main character. But I just have to give a backstory because Holly is a continuation of a story he started 5 years ago. That actually, the TV show just dropped on Netflix, so this is it's like good timing. The TV show is called, and the book series is called Mr. Mercedes, and it's a trilogy of books. That the books are fantastic, and the TV show's on my list of shows to watch now. But the TV show follows, or the books follow, a private detective solving a case, and he meets this lady named Holly who is shy and very smart, but ends up helping him in this trilogy. So Stephen King said himself, after writing the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, he fell in love with his character Holly, so he put her in another book, The Outsider, which also was made into a TV show. The Outsider, really spooky book, good, big book. And then he's like, oh, I have to keep writing about this Holly character. So then he puts out a book called Holly. This is Holly is more her solo adventure into solving murder and disappearances. Super quick book to read. They kind of let you know right away who the killers are, and you get their perspective on the murders and stuff. So there's no surprise in the book. There's more suspense, and it's all about suspense. He's a master of suspense. Very quick read. Killers are really gnarly and it's grisly. So this is Stephen King going into the non-supernatural stuff. Like he does a good whodunit. I've read several of his like murder mysteries. They're really good. The character of Holly he loves this character, and I know why. Because she's just a fun. She's super smart. Doesn't really like people. Kind of introverted, but breaking out of her shell in this book. More independent. Holly, a really quick read. Yeah, I mean, every year I get like a Stephen King book for Christmas or my birthday, and I read it. So, Holly by Stephen King, really fun read. Definitely read the Mr. Mercedes trilogy first if you haven't read it, though those books are excellent. And but yeah, Holly was my next book by Stephen King.
Nice. I mean, I didn't realize Stephen King was still active in the literature game. I didn't know he was dropping a book every year. I just thought they kept going back to the well of his content that wasn't adapted to screen. I didn't realize like these were new books he was pumping out. So good on him, first of all, there. And secondly, I've never read a Stephen King novel, so maybe the Mr. Mercedes trilogy is somewhere to start. Delve into the Hollyverse there. Could be an opportunity for dip the toes into the Stephen King world, which I don't know, we've talked about already. Like a lot of his books live in the same universe, and maybe there's connectivity. Maybe not for this one. It's not like all of his books have to be connected either. There, like I don't know if The Running Man and Long Walks, based on movie title, it would be a match there, but I don't know if there is any connection to be made there.
That's a good.
But yeah, I didn't even know Running Man was a Stephen King product as well. The guy like that's like 3 right there this year, like you just said. So good stuff. My next one, I'm gonna highlight same trilogy I've talked about earlier this year already there, but I'll bring it back up. The Fourth Wing series was a new discovery for me this year. My mom recommended those books, and I really enjoyed them. Like it's fun to get back in that fantasy world, young adult, but also rated R. Like they're ripping F-bombs in here. Like if this ever gets made into a show, which I believe it will be, and I think it's a Amazon production, this needs to be rated R, because also like half of the book is like sex scenes, so it won't be the same thing if it's not made into a rated R show. Which I will just say right there, like some of them could be like skips. Like these scenes were going on for like 2-3 pages. I'm like, all right, I'm all right personally, but I know the smut genre appeals to various readers out there. But I was just there for the action, not that action. But anyways, so good series. You had really good characters there and an unpredictability, Game of Thrones style, where you're not really sure like who's safe, who's gonna make it through. I remember, like, this isn't really a spoiler, but pretty early on in the first book, you're like, all right, I like this troop of characters, and like half of them die very quick. So don't get too attached, but after that, obviously, certain ones, they do become central characters and live on for a while, but you're always kind of guessing in terms of who's going to be axed next. And yeah, cool world building, great main characters, and a lot of conflicted characters too. Like they don't give you straight black and white, good and evil here. Like you got some that are dipping their toes into the deep end of temptation, of a great, like again, the dark side lure, right? Darth Plagueis' influence cannot be ignored across genres. So I would recommend Fourth Wing, Matt, if you haven't gotten into it, especially before this is made into a show. It'd be cool if you could catch up and then watch the show at some point. I think they have 2 more books planned and 3 of them out. So those are big books though, like close, like less than 1,000 pages there, but on that cusp of like 700-800 pages. So
Oh shit.
definitely they're bricks, but overall very good. Yeah, I mean I don't really know what else to say. Great series.
I definitely remember you talking about this when you introed it many episodes ago. Also, going to a random person's house for a game night for board games, and
Yeah.
those books were sitting on their shelf, and I'm like, all right, I got it. And this was like right after you mentioned them, Eric. Okay, I'm gonna write it on my list and put on my Christmas shopping list. My mom's bugging me like, "What do you want for Christmas?" I'm gonna give her a list of books.
Yeah.
Honestly, why not? And I'll get into at the end like the 3 other books that I have on the list. I'm super interested in this. Like you said, it's like school for dragon mastery, and like there's different like classes you can be, or not classes, but like different careers you can go into. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Anyways,
careers. You're assigned like kind of a
careers.
role, and you study towards like that specialization, and then you contribute to the
Perfect.
greater good, like defending the country kind of thing. So no, it's cool. Like it's obviously it borrows from, and a lot of these fantasy dystopian books do borrow from like the precedent set in the genre,
Of
but
course.
they have their own twists in there. And yeah, great characters and cool lore, which keeps you wanting to learn more. And again, a lot of like things are not always as they seem, which you like good twists. Like every novel, every one of these books ends on a big like cliffhanger kind of thing, so they keep you wanting more.
Perfect. That sounds right up my alley. I love fantasy, and yeah, I know I'll like these. All right, I got fantasy and sci-fi left, and they're both these 2 authors. I've read a lot of their books this year. Actually, the rest of the books I'm going to talk about, every book is from this year, 2025. I thought I wouldn't have enough, but all right, I'll go with sci-fi for now. Okay, this sci-fi author, I started his first book this year, and I crushed the 6 books he's written. I read them all like in this summer, and I fell in love with these books. Don't know if like a lighting struck here, and it just like right moment, right time. But anyways, the author is Pierce Brown, and the books it's the Red Rising saga now because there's 6 of them. The first book is called Red Rising. Now it's gonna be hard to talk about the 6 books without spoiling the first one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the author and how his writing style and why I love this saga. So the 6 books are Red Rising, then Golden Sun, and then Morning Star. That's the trilogy, the first trilogy. And then he continues the story with Iron, Gold, Dark Age, and Lightbringer. All right, so to get into this world of Pierce Brown and Red Rising, it has similar. It's definitely teen fiction, and it's in a sci-fi world in the future where, the moon's been colonized, Mars, even like Saturn, Jupiter, the whole galaxy's been, the Milky Way galaxy's been colonized by this empire, and they decided a long time ago that the best way to rule the ruling class, they would create division and a class system and breed specific people to do specific jobs. And everyone's identified by these sigils on their arms and colors, basically. And gold would be the ruling class, the ruling color, genetically superior than any other color, taller, stronger, smarter. And then they created these other colors to do all the other work, like the blues are the people that navigate the spaceships and do all the tech stuff. There's the coppers to do all the administration work. The whites are like the religious people. Anyways, all the way down to the reds, who are the slaves and laborers of this society. It's called the society, divided by all these colors. The reds are the bottom of the barrel. Um, they also breed soldiers that are these giant, like Norse uh, badasses, and there's the grays that are the more grunt soldiers. But anyways, the Red Rising is about a young red slave slash laborer who is something happens in his life, and he gets the opportunity to become gold and infiltrate them in the first book and go to their university and see if he can he gets basically called upon by the rebels, the people that are trying to fight the society. And the first three books are great because you get our main character, you get only our main character's perspective, his point of view. He's in every chapter. It's great. Um, so in Red Rising, basically, it's a Hunger Games esque university thing where they get put into different houses and they have to compete and live off the land and like not almost capture the flag, but pretty much the other houses and compete. And he has to like pretend he's the ruling class, and he gets coached and everything and trained. He gets his body transformed. Like this is a world, the world that Pierce Brown creates. There's a lot of like wicked technology, and almost anything can be done. You know, this is a world, Eric, with spaceships and fighting with guns and laser guns, but also like with these lightsaber s swords. This obviously Pierce Brown borrows a lot from Star Wars, Dune, and all the sci-fi classics. But what I liked about these books is just the pacing and the simplicity of it. Maybe is its greatest strength in terms of I was never bored once reading these six books. They flew by really well. Um, I loved our main character, who's flawed and also relatable. A lot of the times, he builds also a great cast of supporting characters. Some we lose along the way. Some stay the whole six books, so you never know. You're always on edge. I don't want to like get into the books 2 to 6 because I don't want to spoil the first book. Um, all I'll say is like book 4, 5, and 6 is a 10-year jump in the future. Um, and books 4, 5, and 6, all I'll say is Pierce Brown has matured as an author, and he kind of the world builds a lot in 4, 5, and 6, and expands the universe, and you get a lot of answers. You got a lot of questions answered about the world and different little details here and there. Very Star Wars. I get heavy Star Wars vibes from definitely from these books. Like there's always a Coruscant world in any sci-fi saga, and there's definitely one in this one where it's like, okay, this is like Coruscant here, the city, the city planet, spaceship battles, definitely Star Wars inspired. But I don't care about all that, guys. Like I said, this is like a teen fiction stuff and young readers category. But the action is great. Very compelling to me, Eric, these characters and this world he created. So yeah, that's Red Rising by Pierce Brown. That's the first book, but the Red Rising saga now has 6 books, and the 7th one is slated for 2026. So I'm excited. I'm very excited I hope it comes out and I read it, and I hope it closes it out. And yeah, so that's Pierce Brown, the Red Rising saga. I read all 6 books, crushed them. Like I couldn't stop reading it. I couldn't put the book down. And then I gave them all to my mom, and she crushed them all. Yeah, so Pierce Brown, Red Rising saga.
Nice. No, I love to hear that. And from there, your mom actually lent them to me, and I have not gotten to them yet because I just have had like an onslaught of books coming in from the library, so I have not actually gotten to them yet. Now I will get into them because like I can't hold on to these forever. They got to go to other people at some point. I feel like I'm just hoarding now. At first your movies, now your books. Like this just isn't right. So I'm gonna get into this soon when my novels that I have in are done, and I should get through them soon. So this is on my radar. I knew it was gonna come up in this pod. Don't worry, I had not forgotten about these books. It's on my immediate read list. And you said something interesting that I've kind of, in looking at the books I read over this year, you said that the author is getting better as he goes. Like his style is maybe improving, like the way his sharpness with the pen is improving. A lot of the books that I've read, I also find that the later entries in the series have been stronger, and I don't know if that's just because like the world is getting larger as you get deeper in the series, or the author's getting better, but I feel like that's not always the case with like movies, shows, and if I make like a hip-hop album or album in general, like an artist, normally their first album is considered to be their best, and then we kind of start to get sick of it. I don't feel like that's the case with books. Obviously there are some cases where like the last book is not as good, like Dune, for example. I know those get worse as they go, but a lot of the books I've read, like in my Thrawn trilogy, like I enjoyed the last one the most. In the Fourth Wing, I like the third one the most.
Mm,
In the next trilogy I'll talk about, I like the third one the most. So it's just curious where
interesting.
do you have that you find with books, or it just like happens to be the case for a few of these series?
That's a great topic, Eric. I definitely feel like authors get better with time. Um, unlike like you said, film directors, a lot of them like they peak early, and their good stuff is early on in their career. They have
Hmm.
energy and youth to do it, to finish that project, to get it done. Uh, a lot of the books I've read, yes, they do get better as the more like as you're continuing the saga. No, for sure. That's a
Hmm.
really good. I'm speechless right now because I'm thinking like a mile a minute right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good topic. And the next I'm going to talk about, I 100% feel that way about it, Eric. So I like that you brought that up. No, I 100% feel that way.
Perfect. So yeah, I'll just talk about Mao. The last one of the last trilogies I read there, which I talked about already on the pod. I think I recommended each book individually, so I'll just loop them all together. Three Body Problem trilogy. So it's a
Mm,
good piggyback off your Red Rising. It's a sci-fi series trilogy as well. It's quite complex and abstract, though
mm,
I will say. That first book, Three Body Problem, you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, it's so mathematical and like scientific that you're like, I was trying to wrap my head around what is even going on in this book. I'm not even joking. Like, I was having a hard time following what was happening. But as you go through it, you start to figure out, okay, these are like parallel worlds in which like a video game holds the answer to like an equation that another
mm.
world is coming to planet Earth to colonize or kill the inhabitants of planet Earth. And there's like time bending in there as well. Like, again, this might be a tough sales pitch on my part to try to sell people on this trilogy, but just trust me when I say it's an elite sci-fi trilogy that builds a massive universe that spans billions of years, where like there's massive time jumps. People get put into like cryostasis, like frozen in carbonite for hundreds of thousands of years. They wake up, societies change. Like, all right, where are we at with the war with the Trisolarans? And I was just hooked as I kept getting through it. It was really in book two that I was like dialed in, and then I thought the third one, the conclusion of the storyline, was the best novel for sure. So
Mm.
again, this series has gotten a lot of praise. If you can like, you have to focus while you're reading this though. Like, if you can follow along, learn who the characters are, what the action set pieces are, and then get to the second and third book, I think it would be time well spent that you wouldn't regret. Like, I'd be surprised if you like sci-fi and by the end of the third book you're like, this was dog shit. Like, I'd be like, all right, well maybe you just can't handle high society intelligent novels. I don't know what to tell you, but all joking aside, of course, like it's complex, but I really enjoyed it. Three Body Problem and Death's End is the name of the last novel. It was my favorite one for sure. Just wanted to highlight that trilogy.
I've definitely heard of it through you and the TV show. I think they did,
Yeah.
which you describing it, I'm like, there's no way a TV show can capture all this the book medium is the way to go. I
Yes.
just have a question. Uh, is it George R. Martin esque where the chapters are divided, like jumping around through different characters and their perspective,
Oh
like the
yeah, like
parallel
well,
universes?
yeah, like I said, we're going over like hundreds of million. Like I don't know if it's actually millions of years or that passed, but there's a lot of time. So like it's like daughters of great
Okay.
scientists that we're following in the next one. Like there's actually a full new cast of characters in the second novel, but then
Okay.
characters who had lived in the first one, like some of them were put to sleep and then they wake up much later and they're like the last remnants of a lost society. So from that point of view it's really cool where you may be like, oh yeah, I feel like I've seen this name before, he was in the last book. So I had to
Okay.
like Google sometimes because I also didn't read all these back to back to back. Like I read Three Body
Okay.
Problem last year and then I read the second and third novels this year. So if you can bang them all out in a row, like that'd be probably best case because it'll be fresh in your head. But if not, you get like a little recap of what happened, and yeah, you're following a ton of different characters. Some I
Okay.
was more invested in than others, but overall, everyone serves a purpose, and you're not getting like Brienne of Tarth roaming around the countryside running into random people in inns to only have that payoff in the last chapter where she's fighting the Hound kind of thing. Like
I see.
it's a lot more cohesive and not as I would say it's less wide scale than Game of Thrones was,
Okay.
even though it spans like in different worlds, which is greater than Game of Thrones, but
Okay.
it's more focused. Yeah, no, it's good sci-fi. And I think the show
You,
they made a lot of tweaks from the source material actually.
that sucks. But you've definitely piqued my interest. I've definitely read sci-fi novels that weren't easy to read, like some of the Dune novels, and
Yeah.
I've read a lot of Isaac Asimov novels, the godfather of sci-fi, the man who first ever man to write about robots and AI and coined the term robotics in a novel in the 50s. And he wrote the Foundation saga that's now a show. Now, those were not easy to read, but this sounds right up my alley, actually, Eric. Because you said, like, you gotta, like, go through it and then it clicks and you're like, shit, I'm totally engrossed. And you said it's a trilogy and it's closed. Like,
yeah,
perfect. Like, there's an end to it. Three-body problem. All right. I'm adding all these to the list. That's great. Okay, the next guy I want to talk about, the last guy I want to talk about, is one of my favorite fantasy authors. First introduced to him from somebody I worked with, a coworker at Farm Boy back in the day, who just randomly would like throw me books and like, you got to read this. You have to read this. Read it. He threw this book to me called The Blade Itself, and author is Joe Abercrombie. I've talked about The Blade Itself on the pod many times. It's a trilogy. It's called the First Law trilogy. It's fantasy, but super well written. The characters are the strengths of his novels. They're amazing. He writes characters really well and writes action really well and a sense of adventure really well. And Joe Abercrombie is one of the new kids on the block in the fantasy genre. I've read all his books. Last Christmas, so like a year ago, I started rereading the First Law trilogy. Great. You got The Blade Itself, Before They Are Hanged, and Last Argument of Kings. You're following these four characters that are totally different. They're so colorful and great. Love it. Now, the books I want to talk about are, he puts out 3 standalone novels after the trilogy. And they're all in the same world, but they're kind of like, you could pick it up and read it by itself. They have no, like I said, they're standalone novels. So I'll talk about 2 of them for now. One of them is called Best Served Cold. I'll just start with that one. It's basically a revenge tale done like you've seen it in movies and other books, but this is so fun and thrilling. Best Served Cold starts off just like any other good revenge story with a character that's left for dead. First chapter, like betrayal, left for dead, like thrown off a cliff, and she awakes in a pile of like cadavers, because the guy picking up the bodies thought she wasn't gonna, like, she was dead. So this character, this really strong woman she's basically the head of a mercenary army fighting for this kingdom of little islands. Let's say it's like an Italy-esque world where there's different kingdoms, city kingdoms, all like controlled by one guy, and she's like the main head, the main. She's like the general of this mercenary army who's doing all his dirty work. Well, guess what? Once this guy's conquered all of his little kingdom, all the different kingdoms answer to him, he basically wants to discard her. And that's like chapter 1. Like there's chapter 1, her lover gets murdered and she gets left for dead. Damn. It's pretty you fall in love with the book. You fall into the story right away with that like twist. So the whole story, she's building her strength back up, recruits a band of people that, an unlikely band of followers group together, and she plots her revenge one little kingdom at a time, one city at a time. Like the parts are divided into cities. She goes to each city, and every single person who's betrayed her, she gets revenge on. And it's amazing, Eric. And there's characters from the First Law trilogy that make an appearance, which enhances the experience. One of my favorite characters in all of these guys' books is a Northman. Like Game of Thrones, this book has like the North, more of a city place, kind of like far away island nations too. Anyways, there's a Northman that follows her, and he's great. What I like about Joe Abercrombie again are his characters and the way they interact and talk. The dialogue is great. He writes action, like I said, really well. Very violent, but not over the top and gratuitous or exploitative. Just like very well described. And you're always smiling when reading his books because you're just like, I don't know, you're when characters get what they want, you just like love it even more.
Nice.
And this character is very strongly written, and she's a total badass, and she's super tough. Like, this is one of my favorite characters by him. Yeah, very strong character. Best Served Cold.
Best Served Cold.
Great book. It's like you don't have to read the First Law trilogy to understand the world. Like, you can pick this up and follow along, but it pays to read the first 3 books. Yeah, I'll let you go ahead, Eric. I have one more by him, or possibly 2 more, depending on time to talk about. But if you want to go ahead before I do the next one, go for it.
Yeah, sounds good. But no, that does sound interesting. I mean, it for me, it got like shades of Kill Bill, Blue Eyed Samurai, that kind of. We always love a revenge plot, female heroine slicing and dicing in there. Love to see it. I do recall like the Joe Abercrombie universe that you had mentioned before with like, I think Zach has read one, if not multiple of those books, so get him in the reading game is like, it's got to be some good content in there. So I'll want to check this world out as well. And if I recall, this is pretty adult as well. It's not really like the young adult. It's more like Game of Thrones, like adult content, smut.
For sure.
But I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, that's good stuff. For me, so I have one book that, again, like me describing these books is kind of going to be tricky, but it's called The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. So if you know who Rick Rubin is, or if you don't, I'm going to tell you. It's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. So Rick Rubin is a music producer. He's also deaf. So to be a music producer without being able to hear the music that's being played is kind of a paradox, if you will. But the guy has been involved in curating a lot of big names in musical pieces, and with critical acclaim. So he's someone I've known about for a long time, and this book you may have seen before. Like, it's often cited as just like a good reference to have. It's a white book that just has like a circle and then a dot in the middle. And the best way to describe this book is it's really just like this guy just sharing pieces of advice in there, like poems that he's written, and a lot of just like proverbs about life. Where I'm reading this book thinking this is like Michael Fassbender reciting prose from The Killer, which I hated that movie, but reading this prose in this book, I'm eating it up. So he's just offering life advice, different ways of perceiving situations. One that stuck with me, and I do randomly now, he says like, don't read a book in your standard cover to cover way. Open a book in the middle or wherever and just pick a sentence and start reading and go from there. Obviously, when I'm talking about like a novel or something, I'm not doing this. Like, you obviously have to start at the beginning. But I like that way of, just shake things up. Just because this is how things are traditionally done, you don't necessarily need to abide by what society tells you is like the best way to read a book. So if I'm reading, like right now I'm reading a book called The Art of Fermentation. It's a brick. Like, I'm probably not gonna read this cover to cover, but I just open it randomly and start reading from like mid sentence, halfway down the page, and I don't know, like, is there a reason or a benefit of doing this? Not necessarily, but that's kind of just stuck with me, and I think it applies in life in general. Just like, like I said, shake things up a little. Don't be afraid to do things a little differently, and he's done that his whole life. All that to say, I've really enjoyed reading that book. And I just found it to be peaceful, different, And if you can get your hands on it, I don't think you'd think it's time wasted reading it, because he's just sharing life advice, and uh, he has an appreciation, I feel like, for life in general, where he like respects nature. You'd say like, go put this book down now and go for a little walk, sit on a bench outside, observe people in the streets, kind of thing. Just like, they're little things that aren't really of like, oh my god, mind blowing, but it's just cool to be reminded of these things, that hey, it may not be that serious, or go switch it up, kind of thing. That's all I'll say on this book. I really enjoyed it. A creative act, the way of being, something like that. Rick Rubin, yeah.
No, this piques my interest, Eric, because I do know who he is, and I've watched a lot of clips and videos with him. I did not even know, though, he was deaf. I just like hearing him talk about all the artists he's worked with in the different genres, and I'm like, I was shocked by his knowledge of music and the work he's done. Just looking at the guy, I wouldn't even expect him to. That's his career. Like, he has a very unique look. He's got the big beard, and he's very fascinating. Just hearing him talk. So I imagine reading his book would be interesting. And you describing it definitely piqued my interest. No, that's awesome, Eric.
Okay, hold on, Matt. I just hand up. I gotta say something right now. I don't know where I had this idea from. Rick Rubin is not deaf. Like, I don't know where I got this from.
That makes a little more sense. But
Yo, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That makes, I mean, okay, because every video I've seen him in, he's describing like how he put this song together, this group together, promoting this. Okay. No, I thought he was gonna be like a Beethoven genius or something, where he's not completely deaf, so you can hear him a little bit. That was awesome.
I don't know where I got that idea from. I've honestly, it's been years that I've always just thought that he is. I don't know where I've gotten that idea from. Well, yeah. As soon as you said, I've seen YouTube videos of him conversing, I'm like, it's true. I've also seen clips of him talking, like, with Mac Miller. And anyway, let's just move on. But yeah, great book.
Yeah. Oh, his history through hip hop is. I would love to just read that side of his life. So
yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Hey, Eric, I believe you 100%. Like, I would have been telling people he's deaf.
Yeah.
You're very convincing.
Man, apparently, to a fault.
All right. The last book I'm going to talk about is a Joe Abercrombie book, probably my favorite. I've read it twice now. It's called The Heroes. This book is unique in the sense that this book is all about a big battle taken part through 3 days. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Those are the 3 parts. At this pillar of rock, these pillars, this rock formation called the Heroes, you basically have, it's again the same world as the first Law trilogy and Best Served Cold. You basically have the Union, which are like quote unquote good guys, the conquerors, the Union against the Northmen. Up north, both armies meet up at this formation of rocks called the Heroes. They set up camp, and it's basically the whole book is about this big battle. First day of the battle, second day, third day. And what's interesting is you're jumping every chapter through different ranks and people in both armies at different levels and tiers, and some of them are scared, some of them are super gung-ho, like they have the bloodlust, the berserk rage, they want to get into there. Some of them are just sneaking up on the battle and casual observers. It's basically so many characters from different sides of the conflict and different ranks of importance. You got the generals on both sides. You have common foot soldiers. The Heroes has all the favorite characters I love from the first 3 books, the first Law trilogy. They're a little older, but they're all there. All my favorite Northmen are in this book, and it's great, Eric. There's even some Northmen on the Union side, too, helping them out. And like, the Northmen is some of the highlights, are some of the best characters in this world that Joe Abercrombie's built. They all have these badass names, and they're very colorful, and they fight dirty, and they're super strong in battle too. It's awesome. And then the Union has some colorful characters too, like some cowards, some brave guys. And this book's fun because there's a lot of battle and action. There's a lot of little skirmishes happening every day. What I like about the Heroes is you get the horrors of war, like people that start out oh yeah, battle, it's gonna be glorious, and then you find out it's just like that Game of Thrones episodes, Battle of the Bastards, complete chaos. You don't know who's who. You're hacking. You don't know if it's a good guy or a bad guy. It doesn't matter. You're still alive. Keep carrying on. Joe Abercrombie, when he describes battles, he reinforces that idea a lot of battle is so chaotic, and you think it's glorious when you're practicing your fencing or this and that, the art of war. But then when you're in an actual battle, you throw that out the window, and like you can get crushed by a horse. You can get hit by friendly fire. An arrow takes you out. Doesn't matter how strong you are. He really reinforces that idea of like war is hell, and you don't. The best thing to do in battle is to avoid the fight altogether. Some of the characters, that's their philosophy for staying alive. But basically, the heroes, the reason why I recommend this book and love it is there's a lot of these really badass moments that turn the tide of battle, and you get different characters, so you're never bored. You're always bouncing around. And he lists all the characters at the beginning of the book on both sides, so you can always go back and be like, okay, who's this guy again? Um, I really like there's a young character in the book that starts off super gung ho. His dad used to be a badass Northman, and he's ready to roll, and then he realizes it's not what he's cut out for. Really cool character, who unintentionally like becomes kind of a badass, but he didn't really do much, but people thinks he did just because he's surviving. He's like, oh my god, you're still alive. You must be like doing great, and this guy's been hiding like half the time. It's really ironic. But The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. Eric, great. Like, you talking about maturing as an author. This book really shows that. And yeah, the heroes, really cool battle. Like, the setting is top notch, and the characters are top notch. So, again, Joe Abercrombie, I'm going to keep pushing this guy on the podcast. He's a great fantasy author, but like, more realistic. There's not. I say fantasy, but this is more Game of Thrones. There's no dragons or anything in these. Well, okay, Game of Thrones has dragons. There's no like witchcraft and sorcery in these, like some of these Fourth Wing novels. I bet you there. Anyways, all that to say, it's more ground level stuff, guys. There's not a lot of magic, if any. It's more soldier to soldier characters you can relate to. That's The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. Love that book.
Okay, right on. No, I mean, like I said, I love a medieval setting. Medieval setting, like either for a show, movie, or book. Like that's right up my alley. So we'll look to add this one as well. Do you think this is one that would benefit from having read other books of his, or you can just dive right into it without needing to read others in like the Blade itself trilogy?
Yeah.
Better experience if you have read them.
You're gonna have to read the Blade itself.
You're gonna have to. Okay.
If you're gonna start with Joe Abercrombie, Eric, read the Blade itself. Yeah. Now that it just enriches the book so much.
Yeah,
and I know one day you'll read it and you'll be like, you're either gonna love it or you're gonna stop after the Blade itself. So, but yeah, you definitely start with the first one.
I think I'll lean more towards the former, i.e., love it, but. You never know, but I do think this sounds like right up my alley, so I don't see why I wouldn't love it. So, no, that's awesome, Matt. I just have like a couple of books. I've talked about both of them, but I just want to reiterate them in this pod if you haven't heard it in like a random recommendations.
Okay.
Sunrise on the Reaping, the book for the next Hunger Games movie, was one of my favorite books I read this year for sure. Recency bias obviously helps, but like I enjoyed this Hunger Games book more than I enjoyed the last one, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Again, I've said on the pod already, I thought the movie was okay too, and the book is quite large. So this one, Sunrise on the Reaping, the book's much smaller. Like, I think it comes in like 300 pages or so, like in that range. So it's much shorter, and the story was very interesting. Great characters, and we're really in like a more fleshed out, where the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the Hunger Games is still quite new. Like, we're only in the 10th iteration of the Hunger Games, whereas this one is the second quarter quell, so it's the 50th game, and we all know it's Hamish Abernathy who's in the games for this one. So you see a lot of characters that we know from the Hunger Games series, such as, well, an older President Snow now, Effie Trinkets in there, Plutarch Heavensby. And then there's a few others as well in there too. Like I'll just say now, like Beatty. So Jeffrey Wright's character, like, he's in this book. There's a few others
Okay.
too. So a lot of characters who are in Catching Fire specifically, their younger selves are in the Sunrise on the Reaping novel and are going to be in the movie too. And again, just another excuse to promote the movie coming out next year. Like, can't wait for that. They just dropped a trailer for it too. It looked great. I don't know if you had a chance to see the trailer, Matt, but it looks really
Not
good.
yet.
I'm excited for that movie, but I would recommend that you read the book beforehand. The Hunger Games world is so cool. I don't know if they're going to keep giving us content because this is kind of like the last story in terms of prequel that people had big interest in.
Right.
Are we going to see something between Sunrise and Hunger Games? Maybe. But what's also cool about Sunrise on the Reaping is that where in Catching Fire, the everything for the rebellion, like the seeds have already been, like everything's in order. Here we're seeing like seeds are being planted in this novel, and things we know will happen are discussed in this one. Like, oh, wouldn't it be great if this could happen?
I love that.
So,
Love that.
yeah, no, so there's a lot of foreshadowing, Easter eggs in there as well. So definitely recommend Sunrise on the Reaping.
Yeah, I saw the book at the store the other day, and it piqued my interest. I saw who was cast in the movie too. I was like, all right,
Great cast.
good casting. Yeah. What a badass title too. I love that title, just Sunrise on the Reaping. I think that's a great title.
Great title.
I have not watched the Ballads of Songbirds and Snow, nor have read it. Should I be watching the movie, Eric? Yes or no? Or should I just pick up the book?
So if you're gonna go, if you really want to get into this, like that story that's told, I would say go book because I feel like I enjoyed the book more than the movie. It's a big book, that's the only thing, but I did enjoy it more than the movie. But I do want to say the actor who played President Snow was really good. Tom Blythe, I think is his name. Blythe. He was really good.
Okay.
So if we were to get more movies with him as like a, now it's Ralph Fiennes is playing Snow in Sunrise on the Reaping, right? So do we want more like in between Tom and Ralph kind of thing? I don't know if it's necessary, but he was really good in the movie. But like I said, I thought the movie was very average. There's nothing special.
Okay. I think I'll do the books then. I want to get back into that world. Suzanne's Collins' world of, no, that's awesome. Like, you know what the outcome, but you like the journey. I like that.
Well, yeah,
like that
I mean,
premise.
any excuse to keep plugging Plagueis out here is the same thing, right? Like, we know the outcome, but the journey is a hell of a ride, and it's a ride out. The Sunrise on the Reaping is definitely a ride that I'm excited to see on the big screen for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. My last one's going to be quick because I'm almost done the book. Like, I'm still reading it. I have like 80 pages left, but my last one is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie.
Nice.
Again, can't stop talking about him. This one, The Devils, though it's a generic title, it's a completely different world from what I just talked about. This is the start of a new saga, hopefully. More high fantasy. There's definitely a lot of magic. There's definitely a lot of creatures of war. And I'll just say this is about a ragtag group of individuals that would never interact with each other normally, but they're all binded into this pact to escort this young lady back to her throne in a faraway city. And this ragtag group, like, they don't get along at first, but they're forced to cooperate, literally forced to cooperate by magic, by a binding, by the Pope. This is a very religious. This takes place in like an alternate Europe, Eric, in medieval times. It's really weird. Like, there's Rome, there's like the Pope and all the higher rankings of Catholicism. They're all like women, and the Pope is this little girl. Anyways, it's really cool. It's like alternate history with in this group. There's a vampire, a werewolf, a priest, a badass fighter, an immortal knight. Like, they're all like people that would never interact with each other, but they're kind of all colorful in their own way and are badass at getting the job done, fighting, because along the way during this adventure they get attacked constantly and constantly have to do these like last stands in these little towns and like fight their way out of trouble basically. And there's also a magician, like a mage, a sorcerer, we'll say, with them too. Anyways, like I said, his strength, Joe Abercrombie, really fun characters, really good dialogue between the characters, witty banter, and again, badass action that he's really good at describing. So The Devils, I'm almost done. I know there's going to be another one, the Adventure Canon, where it is now. But yeah, really fun book, The Devils by Joe Abercrombie.
If there's a winner in this podcast, it's Joe Abercrombie because his stock is just rising with every recommendation. So I'll definitely, like I said, like I do want to get into this guy's universe of books, and yeah, Devils like sounds like a complete 180 from what he's gotten into, like, or what's made him maybe popular, and now he's branching off into different sects of witchcraft, it appears, and so yeah, no, that's good stuff. Speaking of witchcraft, decent transition here. I'll just reiterate, I just finished the novel Frankenstein by Mary Shelley the other day. Really enjoyed it, honestly. The thing with these kind of books, those classics written in that different older English period, is that the writing style can be hard to get into and comprehend, like all these big words and past tense and all that, but the story is so good and rich, and I'm curious to see, like, I kind of want to watch this old Frankenstein movie. Where did they include everything that's in the original novel? Because this is an ambitious story, like an odyssey, honestly, where Victor Frankenstein, like, he's traveling, he's going all over the place, working hard, there's a lot of big life events that happen in this novel that I'm curious to see if they really touch on in that original movie, which is quite short, and then if in Guillermo del Toro's most recent adaptation he's able to get into it more, because that is a long movie. It's like 2.5 hours. So I feel like that movie has a better shot of covering everything that's in this novel, because it was like, for a 200-page novel, they get into a lot of stuff, and the depth of both Victor Frankenstein and the monster is like unreal. Like the conflict that both the characters internally have in terms of human nature. What am I supposed to do with myself? I'm shunned by society even though I have more to offer. A lot of great questions that are posed, and just like how we judge people based on how they look. The monster character, I'm sure so many essays have been written about internal beauty versus, like, again, external beauty, and just that crises that he's experiencing, and like what he wants to do versus what he should do. Yeah, really interesting stuff, and it would have been a novel that, if I was back in my English major university days, I'm sure I would have cited in a lot of my essays as a reference, and I really enjoyed it. So I would recommend the novel Frankenstein to anybody, honestly. You don't need to be someone who likes horror. It's just a good book, great story, and definitely influenced a lot of future authors in terms of bringing an undead being to life. Like I said, the moral conflicts, master versus creation, that dynamic between the two of them. And again, like I said, keep bringing it back to my mun Darth Plagueis, but like that fascination with extending life, experimentation, all that. Like, there's big time Frankenstein influence there. So, must read novel.
I think we could probably name 1,000 things that were inspired by Frankenstein, right? It's such an old novel. I have not read the novel. I have seen a lot of different versions. I know the old one is not even the full novel. Like, if you watch Frankenstein, Eric, and Bride of Frankenstein, that's probably more like most of the novel. But I know for a fact that they omitted a lot in those 30s movies. The Makes 90s sense. One, Eric, though, with Kenneth Branagh and Robert De Niro, I heard that one's very faithful to the novel, and it's a longer movie. Kenneth Branagh is amazing as Victor Frankenstein. So I've seen that, and I know that apparently follows the book really, really well. But as well as Guillermo's one, because that one too, what you've described, I was getting in the Guillermo del Toro movie, and the two, Victor and the Monster. And
Yeah.
from what you're describing, Eric, I think you'll like the Del Toro one a lot.
Nice.
Just from what you've just said, which was excellent and made me want to rewatch the movie, honestly. Really, really good. So no, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the Frankenstein movie from this year.
I'm excited to watch it for sure.
And I need to check out this novel. You said it's short, but I might struggle with reading fast with the Old English. So
yeah, that was the thing.
No,
like
awesome.
It was short, but the pages were like the text is packed on the page. First of all, it read like a 350-page novel. Honestly, like it took me. I'm normally good to like a page a minute kind of speed rate. Yeah. Like sometimes it took me like 2 minutes to get through a page kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
fair enough.
Then you get in kind of a groove. You're like, oh, thank God this page is shorter. But end of chapter. But no, overall, like I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I read it for sure. Like another book along the same vein that I've tried getting into a bunch of times and haven't was Moby Dick. Like I know it's not like it's kind of a monster movie with the crazy whale, but that book I just could not get into. I don't know if you've read it, Matt, but it was similar to Frankenstein, but worse because I never got into it.
Yeah, I never really was interested in Moby Dick. Similar themes, though. Who is the actual monster type
right,
thing.
Yeah.
I'm all out. Do you have any other books, Eric? I'm done for my book recommendations myself.
No, I can get into like a few recommendations. I'll just follow up on our last pod. So the last 3 pods that have come out, we've all recorded like a week apart, which is not normally how we do things. We normally go 2 weeks apart. So not too much that I've watched or like listened to that I want to recommend, but I will just give like another update on the fermentation coming off the heels of our last episode where I had said day of recording I was going to make sourdough. Now, I was kind of setting the bar low in terms of expectations of like, we'll see how this goes. I don't know if I'm going to be able to nail it on the first try because like people say like sourdough is hard to make. A humble brag to those who get it right on the first shot. And Matt, you may be talking to one right now because I absolutely nailed that sourdough. It was like, I'm not even joking. Wow. It was delicious. I was so happy with how it turned out. And you know what? That's another, maybe I got this from the Rick Rubin book. Don't be afraid to celebrate when you get big wins. And for me, this was a big win because I was nervous about making the bread. Wasn't sure. It turned out so good. Just say it to people. You're allowed to be happy about getting something done right. And this was work. Like, this is a full 24-hour process of watching bulk ferment, stretch and fold, tightening the ball. Like, I watched so many videos thinking, like, we'll see how this goes. But in watching so much, like, repetition, your brain is just absorbing this information. As my hands were cradling the ball of dough, it was like I had done this 1,000 times already. And I was super happy with, as soon as I took it out of the oven, that beautiful fluffy ball was, it was so good. Like, I'm honestly, now I've set the bar so high, I don't know if I'll be able to top, I think I will though, I have got it down. But yeah, it was really fun, great bread. We don't have any left, it did not last long in this household. Really happy with it. So that's my flex there and update on the sourdough. Part 2 now is I am working on the kombucha. I've bottled my kombucha, which is like I haven't done that yet. So this is the first time that I'm actually was able to flavor my kombucha. So I got 3 different palettes going. I made 2 bottles of blueberry lemon, 1 bottle of apple, cinnamon stick, and star anise, and then 1 bottle of what I talked about already, blackberry ginger. So now I'm at around, I bottled them on Wednesday or Saturday today. So like day 4 of bottling, which at this point, I was hoping to see some bubbles happen, like carbonation happen, which unfortunately has not really happened. So it's leading me to wonder whether or not I took out the flavorless kombucha out of the brewing vessel too quick. Like, shout out Harneet. He said that these things cultivate patience. There's a chance I was a little too hasty and just wanted to bottle, and that may affect that it wasn't fermented enough to then eat the additional sugar that the fruits are releasing. We'll see. It's not I'm not counting this yet as a failure, but if after like a few more days there's still no carbonation that happens, we may just have flat tea here that has hopefully a good flavor, but no carbonation. So that would be third time trying to make kombucha. The furthest I've gone, but not full kombucha. So it's just like now tweak. I'm taking notes of everything I'm doing too. So it's like, all right, I let it ferment 7 days. Let's push it to 8, 9 this time. Let's maybe switch up the sugar I use. I'm just like Victor Frankenstein out here, experimenting with stuff and hopefully create a good beverage that can be enjoyed by many and not a monster that kills innocence. So that's kind of my update on the fermentation journey. And really happy with, honestly, both outcomes. However, it ends up with the kombucha. Just happy I got here. And yeah, sourdough, really happy with that. So I wanted to share that.
Well, I'm happy to hear the sourdough first shot, and it was a success. So that's awesome to hear. And the kombucha sounds a little trickier, but you're getting there. And one day we're gonna be talking about your amazing kombucha, and then laugh about every trial and error, that's gonna be fun to Sure. Looking back in 10 years, you're going to hear this conversation right now. Eric, from 10 years, you're going to be laughing right now hearing this. So that's pretty, that's why I love the podcast. This you've definitely seen, because I've been updating you every week on Peacemaker, but finished season 2. So I want to hear your thoughts on season 2, actually, before I give mine.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. I thought it was a great, definitely a pivot from season 1. I enjoyed the alternate reality that they introduced and letting characters act a little differently, right? And then, I guess spoiler for Peacemaker if you haven't seen it there, but I really enjoyed seeing, his brother back in the mix, who's a character that we have, obviously, he died when he was super young, so we never saw him as an adult in our world, but I like the actor Roy from The Office. It was cool seeing him in the mix.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, you didn't know? Oh, yeah, it's him.
The whole time, Eric. The whole time, who is this guy? Is he a wrestler? Who is it? Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, David Denham or something like that. But, no, so I enjoyed that. Obviously, the dad alive as well in this alternate universe, and just seeing what that world actually was pretty crazy. So I had seen, it was theorized, because I was watching it week to week. People were saying, oh, it's probably going to be this. I'm like, that makes sense. And then it was that. But the reveal was still hilarious. When this brother says, one of them got out. I was dying. That was crazy.
Yeah, you didn't notice? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of still funny stuff. Highlights of the season 2, Tim Meadows, hilarious. I thought he was so good. The bird blindness was killing me. Random.
And the nicknames.
That duck. And Economos was great. What I will say, though, I was not a fan of how they did Vigilante. I didn't love his character in season 2. I feel like he was a big downgrade. All of the quiz me on tarantula facts. I don't know about you, but that bit did not do it for me.
I agree. This season to me, Eric, was at first I wasn't sure. I was very skeptical. It ended on a high note for me, and I was liking every episode as I was going on. Definitely different vibes from season 1, though. It was a little jarring. I was like, okay, there's still James Gunnisms in there, but not all of it hit for me. But I thought John Cena was great, and like you said, I liked what the band was a little broken up in this one, but I liked all of the other ones, what they were doing, Hardcore and Adebayo, but Tim Meadows was great with the different nicknames he was throwing out there, and he was funny.
Yeah,
I like the alternate universe stuff, and I liked how the season ended. I love seeing Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr. I always like Frank Grillo in anything. So no, this honestly I faced it, and it was an enjoyable watch, and I would definitely watch season 3. And I'm glad you got me into the show. I would never have watched Peacemaker otherwise, but I do like James Gunn's catalog of even going back to for the Scooby-Doo live action movie, which I enjoyed. He made a horror movie, Slither. It's great. So no, I'm glad I watched it, and but like you, I haven't watched too much since the last time we recorded. I started It Welcome to Derry.
Okay, thoughts?
One episode put in on it. I'm getting
Yeah.
Stranger Things vibes right now, and I really enjoyed the first episode. Good intro so far. Are you on episode 1, or have you started the show, Eric?
I've seen 3, so I'm one episode behind. I'm probably gonna watch.
So
Well, the
3.
Sens are
Okay.
playing tonight. I was gonna watch, but we'll see. I feel like hopefully after this weekend I can get caught up. How about that
Yeah.
ending to episode 1 though? Crazy.
It was great.
Yeah, like,
I'm really into it so far.
I thought it was a big. Like I was not expecting that at all. Without saying necessarily what happens, like I liked what we were building here, and I was shocked. So one thing I will say though, I'm a bit further than you. I like, and this has been cited already there, but people say that the story for the adults in this show is strong, arguably stronger than the kids, which I feel like in all of the It's and a lot of these kind of movies like Goonies vibes, what else? Stranger Things, like the adult storylines are often weaker than the kids ones. And the fact that this adult one
Okay. Yeah.
is strong is a huge plus for this show. So I just wanted to highlight that I am enjoying what we're seeing with the it's really at the air base that we're following at this time. So I don't know if that's going to divulge into more characters, but there's a lot of good stuff there that I'm enjoying. Yeah. So I'll say
Awesome. I can't wait to keep watching. Long episodes, right? So, but
yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
So I got a movie that I've watched that I've not logged yet because I want to share on this pod with you that it looks like you're going to see tonight. So I went and saw The Running Man last night, and I didn't like I'm not going to say too much, but I'll just share like my high level thoughts where going into this movie, I was going in with like tampered expectations. Like I didn't think this was going to be like a masterpiece, nor did I think this was going to be bad. I feel like it landed kind of exactly at what I thought it was going to be. Good,
Okay.
enjoyable action movie that, and I'll say in my review, in a way leaves you wanting a bit more, where some of the themes that they present, I'm like, oh, like, maybe you could have done this or push it this way, and they kind of stay at a good level, but not, I don't think it steps into that, like, wow category, which is fine. Like, I don't think everything needs to get to that level, but as if you go in expecting like a solid action movie with good performances, which Glenn Powell really good in the role, but the show is stolen by my guy Gurney Halleck, Thanos, Josh Brolin, the man in this movie. He is so good, and now again, like I don't want to blow expectations out of proportion here, but every time he's on the screen, he like seals the show in my opinion. And I think a big factor is just his voice, like his delivery, his line delivery is so just cold, chilling, and just eloquent that I feel like every quote he says, like, yeah, that's a bar right there. He was amazing, and Coleman Domingo is in this too, really good. Those two were my highlights of the movie, no doubt. And yeah, Glenn Powell is really good, though. Don't want to take a shot at him by any means, but I just feel like Josh Brolin was my standout, as he tends to be for me in a lot of his movies, like in Sicario, for example. I don't know if anyone would really say that he's their favorite character, but for me, he's, if not favorite character, up there for sure. I thought he was fantastic in that movie. So in a relatively small role, he leaves a big, I don't know, leaves a big imprint. I don't know, but yeah, it leaves a big mark. Anyways, so yeah, no, Running Man, solid movie. I think you'll enjoy it, Matt.
That's all I'm looking for tonight. Just mindless entertainment. And it seems to me like they played it safe. They could have like ventured, taken more risks, but that's fine by me. The reason I want to see this movie is I like Edgar Wright, the director, a lot. I've liked all his movies, so I'm like, I might as well go see this for my birthday. Not looking to think too much, just want to be entertained.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome. I had no idea. I just watched it too. That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, there's
that's all I have.
nice.
Go ahead,
There still are some things like, oh, like that is a thinker. It's not like a mindless movie there by any means,
Right.
but I just feel like they could have. There's a bit more that could have been done with it. But like I said, I said I didn't know this was a Stephen King adaptation. Well, I didn't know until yesterday because it says it in the movie, like as in the title, right? So just cool to see like the influence this guy's got, and it all starts with great literature that eventually leads to great books, great movies. I mean, and yeah, so enjoy, Matt. You'll have a good time for sure. But no, that's all I got as well. Really, there no albums to really talk about at this time. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm good too.
All right, but yeah, a lot of fun, Matt, going over these books. Um, yeah, I mean, I think this is something we can do yearly and maybe even reorganize them into a top 10 where instead of just saying, this book's good or this trilogy, we actually do order a top 10. I think that'd be doable for sure. So looking forward to that. Hopefully, actually, I want to highlight, ask the listeners any books that they're reading. My guy, Mike, he submitted Project Hail Mary. So that is actually a book that is being turned into a movie coming in 2026 starring Ryan Gosling. It's a sci-fi book movie and has a lot of praise. So I'm sure you've seen it in passing in like any bookstore because it is being promoted a lot. I do want to read it as well before seeing the movie. So Project Hail Mary, thanks Mike for the submission. Appreciate that. And that was it for submissions. Not we're movie and TV show watchers in the Eazy Conversations world, not book readers. But hopefully next time we put a story up, we get more page turners submitted from the people. But judgment-free zone. So yeah, Matt, any final notes for the listeners?
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening to the episode. I hope you enjoyed our book talk. Eric, I had a blast talking with you about books. I can't wait to do it next year and have more variety and just a bigger number of books read. Yeah, this has been a great episode. I loved every minute of it. And everybody, thank you for listening to our podcast. And I hope you have a great end of year.
Well said, Matt. So yeah, thanks a lot everybody for listening. Stay tuned for episodes dropping every 2 Mondays. Continue, hopefully enjoy the colder weather. Cozy up with a nice book. And yeah. Peace.